A very warm welcome to IDFC FIRST Bank presents Leaders of Tomorrow Season 11. I'm Ritwika Gupta and you're watching our very exclusive festive lineup all through this week. On the show today, we are chatting with Harsh Mariwala, founder and chairman of Marico, and we are also deep diving into the F&B industry with celebrity chef and entrepreneur Pooja Dhingra. Now on the sidelines of Essence Summit 2023, I caught up with Mr. Harsh Mariwala, founder and chairman of Marico, who spoke to me about the trends and challenges currently shaping the FMCG industry and how small businesses can prepare for the festive season. Listen in. Mr. Mariwala, thank you so much for being on Leaders of Tomorrow. So let's talk about entrepreneurship, how we have seen the ecosystem in India evolve over the years. If you can take us through that.
Yes, I think in the last few years we've seen emergence of a fairly active entrepreneurial system which didn't exist earlier. In my earlier days, if you had asked me to set up a new business, even if I didn't have any funds, it would have been very difficult.
Yeah.
Because the funding options were limited. And more importantly, the whole ecosystem has emerged, which is not only just funding, but the knowledge management, interactions with consultants, other entrepreneurs. You've seen many other entrepreneurs scaling up, and a lot of advice given to you wherever you are raising funds from. So I think this whole ecosystem and so many seminars on startups, scaling up. So I think we are on the right track. A lot more needs to be done.
Yeah.
And we've seen emergence of many new entrepreneurs coming in from small towns, coming in from non-business backgrounds, and many of them have become unicorns also. So those unicorns have actually spurred many other potential employers to look at this for the future.
Right. Recently I read a tweet of yours where you mentioned that a successful business is built on trust. Can you talk to us about the role of trust in today's world?
I think trust is very crucial for any, I would say, forget about just business, but any relationship,
Yeah.
So I should do whatever I'm speaking, And I can't, and that will really help you in the long run in whichever way, if you want to recruit talent, if you want to have a partnership, trust is very crucial, but it takes long time to build trust. And it takes very short time to destroy that trust if you do something which is leading to that breaking of the relationship or trust,
Absolutely.
So it's very important to build that trust, and we strongly believe in trust at Marico. We want to instill trust at all levels, and not necessarily trust doesn't have to be only at the top level. It has to be across all the levels in the organization, at a personal level also, in terms of relationships and all. Trust is very important.
Right. Yeah. Your journey setting up Marico as a small business to now how it is an established company, you have often spoken about how you see the silver lining in problems and challenges. Do you think that philosophy applies to businesses even today as well?
So I think more than silver lining, every person has ups and downs. So, and every person goes through downs in their journey. Not a single person in this world has not had a failure or not gone through a negative phase in their life, whichever way, in their career, business, personal life. And I think the key thing is to learn from that and, get back to normalcy, the grit part, which is passion, determination, and perseverance. And then separately, one doesn't have to be afraid of failures, because if you're afraid for failures, then you stop taking risks. And if you stop taking risks, you'll stop succeeding, So it's very important to take a risk. And if you fail after taking that risk, it's okay to fail. But there is always learning from that failure, and you can apply that to your subsequent journey, So it's very important, especially to youth, I think the Indian society is far more risk averse, because what will others think of me? I failed. And that should not prevent individuals to take risk,
Right.
And I've seen youngsters, they pass from best management schools, they have, aspire to, everybody is trying to recruit them, but they don't want to take a risk because they don't want to be perceived as failures. But they have to understand that every person fails, and there are blind spots, and there are certain areas where unless you try out, you will not get an answer. You have to do all your homework. You can't do it in a foolish manner. But if you do all the homework and if you still fail, it's okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Speaking of youngsters and young
Yeah.
entrepreneurs, India has recently seen an emergence of a lot of startups and also MSMEs. So our show caters to a lot of, smaller, medium-sized
Yes.
businesses.
Yes.
Talk to us a little bit on your take, on the startup ecosystem and MSMEs.
So we have Ascent, which is started by me from my personal side as a philanthropy initiative, because I strongly believe that entrepreneurs will drive India's economic growth. There is a limit to which you can expect the government to do so.
Yeah.
And if you want to be a $5 trillion economy in a few years, it's the entrepreneurs who will drive it.
Yeah.
Now, for entrepreneurs to succeed, you need to have a very strong right to win. You need to be differentiated in the marketplace. You have to create something innovative or pioneering which will help you succeed over your competitors, because the competition levels have increased in each and every segment of business. So how do you create a strong right to win is very crucial for entrepreneurs. And once you have a strong right to win, then how do you scale up? And many times I find that many entrepreneurs are not able to scale up because of their own issues. They are not able to attract talent, or if they are able to attract talent, they are not able to delegate. It's a very highly control-oriented kind of a environment. They think that they know it all, others don't know it.
Sure.
So it's very important for the entrepreneur to change tracks. When you're small, you're doing things.
Right.
And when you grow from small to medium size, you are getting things done, which is very different from doing things yourself.
Right.
Which means recruiting talent, team building, processes, and empowering them.
Right.
And I think these are the areas where entrepreneurs, first thing is, do I have a right proposition in the business? And if you have that, do you have the right talent, culture, and are you able to scale up the opportunity available to you in this marketplace?
Right.
And I think that's what Ascent is trying to do by providing peer learning platforms to entrepreneurs who want to scale.
Right. Shifting gears a little bit, talking about the FMCG industry,
Yes.
tell us, how have you seen the industry evolve over the years in terms of the trends, and how has Marico also adapted, its strategies according to it?
See, until 5 years back or 4 years back, FMCG was regarded as a defensive industry, because if you had to enter FMCG as a new player, you needed to have all India distribution network, which meant that you needed to have large field force, distributors, CNF agents, and for that to support you needed a certain critical turnover. Number two, you needed to advertise through mass medium like press and television, which required big budgets. Now the emergence of digital medium and e-commerce places has reduced the overall, shall I say, defensiveness of this sector. And many new players have entered the industry because they didn't require big budgets, they didn't require a distribution network. So they could launch their products through this route. Of course, the overall contribution of e-commerce to the total sales of FMCG is still in the range of about 8-10%.
Right.
But you could measure whether you are able to succeed in that. So I think the biggest disruption in FMCG has occurred by the entry of D2C.
Okay.
Number two, in the area of distribution also, we've seen e-commerce places, modern trade chains, chemist chains and chemists as outlets, and the modern overall grocers and retailers. So the distribution has become far more complex, and each segment of distribution requires a different approach. So
Right.
how do you manage distribution is also a big challenge, And number three, we've seen that at a consumer level, we're seeing more and more individual decisions being made. With urbanization taking place, a lot of trends are coming in from other Western countries. So the trends of natural, vegan, organic, they're all coming in, and we will see much more of those trends coming in. So we are seeing much more of Western influence coming into our usership habits.
Okay.
And I think that is going to change what the consumer will want in future compared to what happened in the past.
Right.
Yeah.
The festive season is just around the corner. What advice would you have for companies in the FMCG industry as well as smaller, medium-sized, entrepreneurs, to really leverage the festivities?
So I think the key thing is depending on what you're offering, So if there is an offering which is used more during the festive season, then you have to capitalize that, So it could be something in food, it could be sweets, it could be some personal products also, but I think the key thing is to identify what are the opportunities existing for your range of products and go on offering something different and innovative, because it's ultimately there's a war for market share. And if you offer something unique and innovative, then your chances of success are higher.
Right. Yeah. Finally, sir, tell me, what does leadership mean to you?
So I think the overall context of leadership has changed in the last few years, especially post-COVID, post these wars. You know, and in addition to what leadership was being imagined for, I think new segments or new insights have come in terms of what is the role of a leader. And the new insights cover the need to move fast, agility. We've seen what vaccines have done in terms of the time frames. So agility has become very important. Number two, looking at all the stakeholders and not just shareholders. Because all the stakeholders are interlinked. So how do you look at all the stakeholders and not? Number three, empathy got a lot of traction during COVID time because you had to be empathetic to all your employees, your associates. Number four, authenticity. You had to give a true and fair picture of what if you are in trouble. Okay. So I think that also came in. Number five, I would say that the need to get outside in inputs, because what is happening because of COVID or because of Russian war or now because of Israel war or the trends which I talked about, I think CEOs and leaders have to be far more tuned to what's happening globally and get the outside in. So there is what is known as inside out and outside in. And I think you need a blend of both to play the leadership role.
Well, those were some wonderful insights, Mr. Mariwala. Thank you so much for being on the show. Now, before slipping into a short break, we are excited to announce the return of Leaders of Tomorrow Awards this year, and nominations are now open till 10th November 2023. The theme this year is Innovate to Elevate. So if you think you've been pushing boundaries and really exploring new horizons, please do apply, nominate yourself or your organization on leadersoftomorrow.co.in. On that note, we'll take a quick break here. Back in just a moment. Stay tuned. Welcome back to IDFC FIRST Bank presents Leaders of Tomorrow Season 11. You're watching our Diwali special programming all through this week. In this segment, I caught up with Pooja Dhingra, celebrity chef and founder and CEO of Love 15, to understand the opportunities in India's baking industry and what's trending this festive season. Listen in. Pooja, welcome to Leaders of Tomorrow, our very special festive edition. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
So, I know you have been asked this question many a times, but really, let's start from the very beginning. Tell us, what inspired you to get into baking? When was the time you realized your passion for baking?
I think it was, I started baking when I was 6 years old, so I was very young. But it was just something that I did at home. I started with my family, with my bua, and I just feel that it was simple ingredients, like you just take butter, sugar, chocolate, and we made brownies, and it came out to be this magical thing that just got so much joy. The minute you put a tray of brownies in front of everyone, you're going to see a smile. So for me, it was that joy of like being able to spread that happiness, spread that joy with everyone that got me hooked. And I kept baking through my teenage years. I was a very loved student because I would bake on the weekends, and then on Monday I would go with a whole bag of goodies to school. So everyone loved that. Yeah. And I guess this is still like 20 years ago. So being a chef or doing this professionally wasn't that mainstream then. So I was thinking about what I wanted to do. Briefly went and did law for 2 weeks. Decided it wasn't for me. And then, told my parents I want to do this, and they said education is important. So I went and studied hospitality, and then I studied pastry. And in 2010, started Love 15. We're 13 years old now.
Right. And how has the journey been, from 2010 till now?
Oh, it's been amazing. I feel I can stay the whole day and talk about it. But briefly, I just feel like it's been like any entrepreneurial journey. It's had very high highs, very low lows, and then somewhere found a balance. So I'm very excited about where we are today and what our growth looks like. So yeah, it's an exciting time, but more or less it's for me as a person, I feel like I've just learned so much. I feel like it's been the greatest school that I could have ever gone to. So I'm very happy with all the lessons that I've learned.
Wonderful. Speaking about the F&B industry, give us a sense of how has the demand for baked goods, and desserts, how has it evolved in India over the years? Because when we talk about the festive season, Indian consumers especially, they favor your gulab jamuns and laddus. Is that still the same, the sentiment?
I feel like there's been a change that's been happening over the last decade or so.
Yeah.
I know that when I started Love 15 in Bombay, it was a little bit, still at that point you didn't have that many standalone pastry shops.
Yeah.
People did think that cakes and pastries and macaroons, for example, were a very Western dessert and they were used only in certain occasions. But there's been a vast shift, like even from our customers to what people in general want. I feel like the baking industry in general saw a big rise during COVID when everyone started baking. So you have so many people specializing in special desserts. You have so many people that are doing modern Indian, modern mithai, a mix of different things. We do that always for Diwali as well. We take Indian flavors, mix them with French techniques.
Yeah.
So I feel like people are also experimenting a lot. And the great thing is that just look at our population, right? Just look at the number of festivals we celebrate, look at how many birthdays and or anniversary celebrations we have within a family. So I feel like there's always room for different people to try different things.
Sure.
And I just think that there is, a large portion of people that are now wanting to break away and try something new and different for the festivals as well.
Fantastic. And picking up from what you said, give us some insights into the kind of trends that you're observing, in terms of desserts, for the Diwali, that's...
So I feel like, firstly, I don't think that traditional desserts will ever lose their place. I think that when you want a besan ka laddu, you want a besan ka laddu. When you want gulab jamun, you want that. And even I see that in my family as well, right? No matter what we'll eat, on a special day, if we want to eat jalebis, there will be jalebis. So I don't think anything's happening there. But what I see, what is interesting and what is a trend is to see this evolution of the Indian palate, right? From people wanting different things and experimentation. So you're seeing a lot of modern mithai, you're seeing a lot of players, not only in Mumbai, but in cities across India that are doing their own twists on traditional Indian desserts. And I feel like that is quite trendy. You're also seeing people who want to go for alternates to high sugar desserts, right? So you also have people that want healthier options. We get that a lot, which is why we're working on certain desserts that have lower sugar, alternate flours, gluten-free, all of those kind of things. But I feel all in all, I think festivals is the one time that people really want to indulge and celebrate, which is great for us.
What is your favorite dessert to go to?
Oh my God, you put me on the spot. That's a really hard question. I mean, the thing that I love the most and I look forward to every Diwali is our, mix of India meets France macaroons that we work on. So for example, this year we have a pan macaroon, which has been on our menu for...
A pan macaroon?
Yes, a pan flavoured macaroon.
Interesting.
Which has been on our menu for 13 years, and it's like every Diwali it comes back and people from all over India, they wait for it and they order it. We also have our Kaju Katli macaroon, which we've been doing for a long time, which is really like a Kaju Katli reimagined. And then this year we have a new one, which is dark chocolate and dates. So it's really playing on, trying to get that richness of the dates, mix it with chocolate and get that. So I think a box of these, all three, and they're all eggless, would be my favorite, would be my pick for the season.
Nice. Pooja, like we were just talking about before the interview, you are a celebrity chef, you're a businesswoman, you're an author, and you've also now, donned the hat of a judge in a very popular reality show. So I'm really keen to understand how are you navigating and balancing all these roles, because from what I understand, they're very different and they have different responsibilities.
I feel like it's a very exciting time, and that the fact that I get to experiment with so many different things. I'm also very lucky to have a great team that supports and backs me when I try to do different things. So I try to stay balanced. There are days where it gets too much and then I find my center again and then get back to it. But it's an exciting time, and I feel for me as a person that loves learning so many new things, it's great to one day learn, how TV works and then how publishing works. And with the F&B world, I'm just learning something every day too.
Fantastic. Tell me, Pooja, what are some of the key challenges, that are prevalent in the F&B industry today?
I feel like there's too many for me to start. I think depending on the scale of the organization, the city you're in, these challenges keep varying. For me, currently the challenge is a challenge of scale. The one that I'm trying to figure is how do I get to grow my business, take it to different cities while still retaining the soul of it, the quality of it. So that is something that I'm personally struggling with right now.
So if you
but
had...
it's a good problem to have.
No, absolutely. No, but if you had an advice, a piece of advice, to give to entrepreneurs, or like aspiring, pastry chefs, who want to get into the industry, who want to start their own little bakery. So what would you tell them?
And I get this a lot. I have especially a lot of young girls who come to me and they ask me for this advice and they say, we want to get to where you are. And my main key advice to them is that, firstly, if you really do have a dream and you believe in something and you're passionate about it, and if something's calling you, you should answer that call. But at the same time, please be patient. We are in this generation where everyone wants things to happen overnight, and we hear all these success stories of all these entrepreneurs around us. And food is not the same as tech. It takes its own time. The numbers are not, they don't really, so this whole bubble of how much did you raise and what did you do? I don't get into the rat race, and just really be patient with yourself, with your product, because remember, I've been doing this for a really long time and things take time to bake, to cook, to happen.
And what have been your biggest learnings? Because like you were also mentioning, 2020 was a very critical time for all of us. So what have been your biggest learnings in your entrepreneur journey?
I think I learn something new every single day, and that's the most exciting part. 2020 and COVID was definitely the most challenging for the food and beverage industry in general around the world and in India as well. And for me, it was really about thinking fast and figuring out how do you change, how do you pivot, how do you still manage to grow your business and brand when everything else around you kind of stops. So that's what I've learned. I've learned to, one, be patient with myself, and two is really when you find that there's to be able to see what the problem is and then work really fast to solve it. So I just feel like if you're an entrepreneur, you will have problems. There's never going to be a day where there's not going to be one. But how fast can you adapt? I think that adaptability and moving on and pivoting, to me, that has been like the biggest lesson that I've learned.
Wonderful. It was great chatting with you, Pooja. Thank you so much, and wish you a very happy Diwali.
Happy Diwali. Thank you for being here. Don't forget to eat a macaron.
I will not. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
With that, it's a wrap on this edition of IDFC FIRST Bank presents Leaders of Tomorrow Season 11. We hope you enjoyed the conversations. Wishing you a very happy Diwali. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.